And we kick off this evening with a look at the cinema.
I'm not a complicated man. I like cinema.
It's beautiful, beautiful cinema.
Cinema history come to life.
I found my solace in the small cinema I went to every Thursday night.
I'm a professor of cinema.
I go to the cinema for the stories.
There was no competition between the cinema and seminar.
I mean, it's not within the realm of conventional cinema.
And now,
here's Pace and Johnson
with a cinema review.
Oh, what the heck? Sorry about that. It is Monday, 8 EST, March 23rd, 2026, and thank you all for joining me for another episode of Cinemaster's Reviews. I'm your host, Pace, the Cinemaster Johnson. We have an exciting show this week. We are reviewing Project Hail Mary, one of the biggest movies of the year so far, as well as Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Or if you saw the movie, you might have noticed from the title card, it is just called Ready or Not, Here I Come. Personally, I think that one flows off the tongue way better, but I digress. I say we jump right into our show this week, starting with our first review of the night, Project Hail Mary. This is the latest sci-fi film directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. You might recognize those names as the directors of the 21 Jump Street films, the director of the first Lego movie. They were initially penned to be the directors for the Solo movie that we got quite a few years back with Alden Ehrenreich, but they were kicked off that project because Kathleen Kennedy did not like their vision. This is the first movie that they technically directed since, I believe, 22 Jump Street. So in about 12 years, they produced a lot of stuff. They produced the Spider-Verse movies. They produced Mitchell's versus the Machines. But it's the first time that they've been given a chance to direct, as well as direct such a big and ambitious film that's adapted from the Andy Weir sci-fi novel. This follows an astronaut by the name of Rylan Grace, who, wouldn't you know it, wakes up one day on a spaceship, has no memory of why he is there, but he's able to piece together through different flashbacks that happen through his mind that he was sent up in space in order to go on a true Hail Mary mission to find an element from a far-off planet that can be used to destroy this chemical called astrophage that is infecting itself into the sun in order to save Earth. In this world, Earth has about 30 more years left to live, and if Rylan can succeed in this mission, then hopefully Earth can be saved. Along the mission, he is accompanied by a alien companion by the name of Rocky. Rocky is a member of the Iridian race. It is this race of like rock people, and Rocky is also a scientist from that time. He is also up there in order to figure out why this one planet isn't affected by astrophage, and is hopefully able to use those methods in order to save his planet as well. I've been looking forward to this movie ever since I saw the trailer. I even read the book. I was so excited for this film. It's rare we get like non-IP, non-franchise blockbusters that are filmed with this amount of scale and this level of budget, and you get a really popular movie star like Ryan Gosling at the center. We rarely ever get those that often. If the name Andy Weir is familiar to you, he's also the writer of The Martian. The Martian was started to do a really great movie with Matt Damon about a decade ago at this point in 2015. Wow, do I feel old. But yeah, I was pretty excited for this movie, and I will say, reading the book, I was a little cautious of saying, okay, how are certain elements of the book going to be handled? I didn't really have an issue with the humor of the book, mainly because I know Phil Lord and Chris Miller are very humorous directors, but at the same time I was like, okay, how is it going to handle the different timelines, how certain reveals are handled? And I will say this is a very faithful adaptation of the book. It's around 2.5 hours. Book is around 400 pages. Not a lot was cut out, and it was able to maintain a lot of how the story is presented in general. It's not quite to the level of with the book where it's told in a first-person point of view. So something I find really fun about the book is you will have a flashback scene where Rylan is back on Earth, learning about the journey that he is going on, and while he's going on this, while he has this flashback, he immediately jumps back up to the ship, and he's like, "Oh, That's the reason why I have these like scientific facts in my head. Really, a really unique way, but that could get annoying for a movie. A lot the way how this movie handles the flashbacks, you'll often just jump back to the past, and you will just and then once that flashback is over, you might go back to Ryland. You'll see him writing certain things on the whiteboard, saying like, okay, this is why I know this fact about the ship. This is why I know this fact about this material I'm harvesting. This is how I know how long I've been out there. This is how I know how long the Earth has. So it does a really great job of presenting the exposition, which I think is a really fun way fun aspect of the book in general. So yeah, very faithful aspect of the book. I think Ryan Gosling has got to be one of our just most versatile and just gifted utility actors working today. And it feels so weird to call Ryan Gosling like a utility actor, because usually like when you say the term utility, it usually means like, oh, he's this cool character actor, and like Ryan Gosling like has the face of like the most gorgeous leading man out there. But like the guy can truly do anything, whether it's just this really like high concept comedy like we see in this movie, like often throughout the movie he's playing really way over his head, always seeming like really out of breath, seeming very like out of his element. But at the same time, towards the end of the film where he starts realizing like, hey, the reason why they call this the Hail Mary is because none of us were supposed to come back. I am going to be dying out here. And just watching connect with this alien creature in Rocky, Gosling is able to hit the really emotional elements of the character really well. Of this character that we learn doesn't really have many connections on Earth. That's why he was chosen for the project. Doesn't have any immediate family, doesn't even have any pets. He's just a simple school teacher that wrote a book on certain theories he has about the Earth, and that's why he was chosen. You get more reveals as the movie goes on, which I think are handled very, very well. But for the most part, Ryland Grace just seems like your average everyday scientist, and Gosling plays that really, really well in both the humorous aspects and the really emotional aspects. The character that is absolutely going to be stealing the show with this movie is Rocky, voiced by James Ortiz. Rocky is introduced about, I'd say probably like 45 minutes into this movie. And the second that you're introduced to him with Ryland like going through this big like tube from his ship to the alien ship, and they meet within this one glass barrier. The second Rocky puts his like leg on that barrier, you're just like, oh, I love this guy so much. One, I love the fact that Phil Lord and Chris Miller decided to use a puppet for Rocky instead of a CGI creation. Movie does use CGI very, very well, and so I'm sure it would have looked really good. But I think the thing that makes Rocky so special is that you know that is something that is actually there, that is an actual real puppet, that real like human artists are making move in the way it does. James Ortiz, like I said, voices Rocky, he talks in a very like text-to-speech way, and as the movie goes on, you see Ryland like putting teaching Rocky how to speak in English, how to translate his grunts from his Iridian grunts to English, and that is a really fun plot point right there. So really enjoy that. But yeah, everything Rocky does, like when Ryland first starts hanging out with Rocky, Rocky's a very much like, he says what he's feeling. The Iridians have a way of living that is very much like customary. Like Rocky doesn't want to mess with these customs. Like you always have someone watch you while you're sleeping. You always need to know what's going on. So Rocky's always asking these questions, which is a really fun and like this high concept sci-fi movie where all these ideas are going. So you have a character that's always just able to ask questions, and you slowly see Ryland getting more annoyed with him as the movie goes on. But you also understand why Ryland forms such a bond with this guy, that like these two are the only ones on the ship. Like I'd say like 80% of the film, when we're not in flashbacks back on Earth, is just Ryan Gosling and Rocky, and those scenes are so much fun just watching these guys bonding. Ryan Gosling acts so well against this puppet creature, and all the puppet effects on Rocky are so effective that like by the end of the film, without spoiling what happens, Rocky is put in some fairly perilous situations, and I'd be shocked if there wasn't like a little bit of a tear in your eye with like what could happen to this character, because he is just so like part of me does feel like, is this just a creature that was just made to made to sell like toys. At the same time, it's not an IP film, and the character is in the book, and like reading the book, and like that is exactly what Rocky should look like. And I do think it is very effective there, and just how cool this little character is, and like that for me is part of the fun with watching sci-fi movies, is just looking at the cool like environments, the cool creatures that are created, and this is a creature that definitely will stand the test of time. As I said, this is a sci-fi movie. It is dealing with a lot of heavy science fiction concept. It does a great job of keeping them simple enough, where it's like explaining really complicated topics, but also you never feel lost at all. Like when we learn about astrophage, we see that it can like a little drop of it can like melt like the hardest of metal, and we learn that the astrophage can slowly like eat away light. And the second we learn that, we're like, okay, if it's in the sun, then that means the sun only has a limited amount of time. We need to find a way to get the astrophage out. And the second we learn that, we're like, okay, we got our mission. We need to destroy this element of astrophage and figure out how to use it for just like power methods, while also not exposing it to the sun, because obviously the sun goes, we go. Really, really effective there. All the scenes where we are back on Earth, I don't like them quite as much as the scenes on space, but out of space. But I do think they are needed. I do love that Chris Lord and Phil Lord and Chris Miller filmed these scenes in a very like gray, monotone way to make it seem like to really show like, hey, Earth is kind of at like its breaking point at this in this movie's history, and if something isn't going to be done, the world will just sort of fizzle out. Sandra Hüller plays the head of the Project Hail Mary mission. Her name is Eva. Sandra, really great performance from her. I really love her in Anatomy of Fall. I really love her in Tony Erdmann. She's really great here as playing just this very stoic character that doesn't seem to let the emotions of things get to her, which, like, if you are put in charge of this mission where, like, hey, if this fails, all of humanity is going extinct, you need someone that is going to be that just, like, stone cold. Like, my eyes are just focused on the mission, and she does really well. There's this really fun moment where all the characters go out to karaoke, and you finally get to see her just sort of let loose. Not like this ultimate, like, oh, she just lets her freak flag fly, but, like, she sings this really, like, beautiful song, and you're like, okay, this character does have a lot of humanity to her. The other cast member I wanted to shout out, Lionel Boyce plays this guy named Carl, who befriends Rylan while Rylan is preparing to go on this mission, and he adds a lot of humanity to those characters. The other astronauts that were sent to go on the mission with Rylan don't have a ton to do in this movie, so that is a bit of a shame. But Lionel Boyce and Sandra Hüller do deserve a set shout out from me. I will say, from a technical aspect of this film, this movie is absolutely astounding. I saw this in 70 millimeters in IMAX, and the cinematography by Greg Fraser, if you've seen the Dune movies, if you've seen the new Robert Pattinson Batman movie, it captures the feeling you want when you're seeing a big movie set in space, where everything just feels gigantic. Whenever you see like these long tracking shots where you'll just see like just the little Hail Mary ship among just the wide horizons of space, it truly just shows you how small we are in the universe. And that feeling, I absolutely love it. Whenever he's filming like the big close-up shots of Ryan Gosling, you really feel just how tense everything is. All the colors when you end up getting to Tau Ceti, and just how green everything looks. Whenever you're just watching like Rylan and Rocky just sort of relaxing and watching like the big holodeck on the spaceship that takes up the entire IMAX screen, you just can't help but like truly catch your breath. The score by Daniel Pemberton is also really, really beautiful. I think the scenes where like you are really in like perilous situations, he really knows how to turn the music up to a point where you really feel like, okay, this is getting intense, to the point where like I truly cannot hold my breath with just how intense this is. And Pemberton and Greg Fraser are able to combine their talents to make a really, really technical, stunning piece. If I did have some complaints, as funny as I do think this movie is, I think there are maybe I do wish maybe it could have toned down the jokes by like maybe like 20%, Not that I think the jokes are bad by any means. Like I think I can count on maybe one hand the ones that don't quite land. I just think when you're making a movie like this where the situation is so dire, when you have the characters constantly just spouting jokes all the time, it does put the stakes a little bit. It does make the stakes a little lower than you might want. Where at all times I'm just thinking like, okay, like this is intense, but I don't think for a second that the character that Ryland isn't going to make it out of this alive. And I think if you just would have like toned down the humor by just a little, specifically towards the third act, I think you could have had like an all-timer for me. But I think Phil Lord and Chris Miller, just their intentions as a writer just might have gotten to them just a little bit too much, and I think they could have just toned it down just a little. But honestly, that's really my only major complaint I had with the film. Just looking at my notes, I think the major thing of why I love this movie so much is there are just those movies you see where it just really gives you hope for humanity, and just gives you it gives you reason as to why you love movies in general. And while I don't think it's going to be my favorite movie of the year, Project Hail Mary was a film while watching. It's such a big technical marvel. It's such a great movie about finding your purpose in through life, and finding like why we are put on this planet, and watching Ryland slowly realize and slowly put the pieces together of like, no, I am going to be the one to save Earth, and even if I'm not coming back, I'm going to do this for humanity, for the greater good. I do think is really beautiful, and I just think, and just from a pure fanboy point of view, I do think this was a really great adaptation of the book we got. If I were to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 10 videotapes, 0 being horrible, 10 being amazing, I'm going to go pretty high, and I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Excellent starring vehicle from Ryan Gosling, with just an excellent, like, fun, just here's the mission that we are put on with this movie. We are going through this giant journey through space, and with what Lord and Miller do there, I think it's really, really well done. Everything that Rocky does is excellent. There are a lot of great reveals and a lot of great moments from the book that the movie adapts really well. And just watching this movie, I was just puzzled, like, wow, Lucasfilm really let Lord and Miller go because the script wasn't what they wanted. If the Solo movie that we were getting was going to be like this movie, it would have been a lot better than the Solo movie we got. See this movie in the biggest possible screen you can. See it in IMAX if you have it. But regardless, find a way to see this in theaters, because these are the types of movies we want more of. Just these big, large-scale blockbusters that aren't franchise-driven, which I think is awesome. A movie did really well at the box office this weekend, which made me very happy. But yeah, I would highly recommend you go see Project Hail Mary. But let's head on to the second review of the night, that being Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. This is the sequel to the first Ready or Not film that came out about 7 years ago. This is once again directed by Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillette. You might know those two as the pairing of Radio Silence. Those are the guys that gave us the first Ready or Not. They gave us Screams 5 and 6, and they also gave us Abigail a couple of years ago. But we are once again they decided to take their talents and make a sequel to Ready or Not. This takes place immediately after the first film. If you saw the first film, spoilers for that one, I guess. We are following once again Grace as she just got out of probably the worst night of her life. On the night of Grace's wedding night, she learned that she had accidentally married into a satanic cult, and she was tasked with playing a giant game of hide and seek, where if the members of that family did not kill her that night, they would all perish. Spoilers alert for that movie. They failed in their mission, so they all ended up exploding in great bloody passion. And Grace thought that she was finally done with this world and this like weird satanic family that she married into. Nope, because she learned that because she ended up surviving that night, and because an entire family was killed off, it triggered an entire like Game of Thrones-esque now like battle for the throne, where because that family is now dead, other families are now vying to gain control of this satanic cult, in order to control all the other families. And essentially, from what Elijah Wood's character said, who sort of serves as like the lawyer of of this like satanic religion. Whoever is the head of this cult is essentially the head of the world. So now Grace has to survive an entire night once again, in order to get out of this game again. If she survives, she becomes the head of the satanic cult. If anyone ends up killing her, they end up becoming the head of the cult. The other families that are competing cannot kill each other. It's just a mission to kill Grace, as well as her sister, played by Catherine Newton, her sister Faith. We learn through just a few lines that her and her sister had a falling out. Catherine Newton on the first one. Catherine Newton, who was great in Abigail, by the way. She's an actress I've started to really, really enjoy. And so now Grace not only has to survive this death cult family that are all trying to kill her, she has to survive the nagging and argumentative nature of her sister that she did not leave on good terms. I think the most effective thing about this movie is it takes place right after the first film, so you really get the frantic nature of like, wow, like less than 24 hours ago, Grace was fighting for her life, was watching multiple people explode in front of her, and right when she thought that she was about to survive, the games once again start again. She's kidnapped once again, put on this rich golf course estate, and she has to fight for her life once again. So it really puts like the heart-pounding nature of this story, like it throws you right back into it. Even if you didn't like watch the first movie recently, like I haven't seen that first movie since 2019. Really like the first Ready or Not, by the way. You will immediately like be like, okay, I'm right back in this game. Movie does a solid job of recapping what happened in the first film, so that's also a really solid fact. Samara Weaving as an actress, where I'm just like, wow, the fact that she has not been in 1,000 things since Ready or Not, I think is just absolutely crazy, because just like that film, she carries this film in such like she is such a great like audience surrogate actress, where she is just as confused and just as like freaked out as we are watching all of these crazy people try to kill her. At the same time, when she slowly starts to become more of her own and slowly starts to become more confident in understanding the rules of this world and how she can manipulate and how she can survive through it, she plays confidence really well there too. Catherine Newton is such a great addition to this film. Catherine Newton, if you saw Abigail, she was so funny as like the ditzy assassin there, of just being like the one assassin who's like way younger than everyone else. She plays like just like completely like done with her sister in the best way possible, where like without spoiling why she's there and how this family found her, you completely understand why this character does have so much resentment for her sister, and Catherine Newton plays that really well. At the same time, the way Newton plays it, you know that the character doesn't completely detest her sister and does want both of them to live. And watching both Newton and Weaving play off each other is a lot of the main reason why this movie is fun. Just to get this out of the way, I think the number one reason why I think the number one reason for me saying this like an amazing movie is, without spoiling it, the rules for why all these families are competing to try and kill Grace. It's unbelievably stupid. Like, this movie sort of does the John Wick thing of like, okay, so as we're getting sequels, we're getting more lore into how the rules of all these families work. How does this family rule the entire universe of the Ready or Not world? That to me is a little stupid, and like the less I had to think of like, okay, how do these how does this action affect the world of this film and like all the different like families and their lore? The less I had to think about that, the more I enjoyed this movie. And I do think the movie gives you a very silly reason for why all these characters want to kill Grace again. Once you get past that, though, I think once again you are going to have a very, very fun time with this movie. All the characters that are trying to kill Grace again are very memorable. All the families have like different like attributes to them. Elijah Wood, who's playing the lawyer, having the time of his life, is just the character that's just so matter of fact, like, oh, you see, Grace, the fact that you survived that night triggered this whole stream of events, and now you have to survive again. But hey, if you live this time, you'll be in charge of this entire satanic cult. Hail Satan, by the way. Everything Elijah Wood does is so much fun, and just how just like matter of fact he is. Whenever I see Elijah Wood pop up in something, it's always so much fun because like that guy doesn't have to work for another day of his life because he's so rich off Lord of the Rings. So every time I see him in a movie, I'm just like, you are clearly just here because you want to be here, and I love that. Sarah Michelle Gellar and another actor who plays her brother, Shane Hatoisi, play brother and sister in this movie. They're they're one of the families that are trying to hunt down Grace and Faith. They're super fun, and just how they play off each other is really, really effective. And yeah, just like how like all the kills that you see in this movie, how like the movie never really has a moment to really slow down because we're constantly in danger mode of like, oh, all these characters want to kill Grace and Faith because they all want this power. Kills are really fun. This movie, once again, just like Project Hail Mary with Rocky, showing that like, hey, practical effects are almost always going to trump CGI if done correctly. All of the practical blood in this movie, there was a ton of it, but all of the practical blood, like every single time a character just explodes, just the volume of blood you see. Every time a character dies, whether it's just getting stabbed, whether it's getting burned, whether it's getting shot, movie never fails to show like, hey, when a character dies, it's gonna be bloody, and it really is just a really fun, just like thrill pack. Like I even hesitate to use the word horror. Like I think you could describe this movie as a horror comedy with just how sort of like tongue in cheek it is, but just all the fake blood is just so much fun, and all the deaths are so creative, and every single thing we get. And yeah, just like how the movie ends, like I could see there being another one with these because these movies are just such a fun concept. I think maybe you could move away from the Grace character if you do get a sequel, but I think everything we get with the movie of just like of just remembering like, oh wow, it's really only been like maybe like 3 days since Grace married to this family, and it's just been the worst 3 days of her life, only adds to the excitement of this movie because you understand why Grace is just so done with everything and why she just wants to get out of the situation. In the most like FU way she possibly can. If I were to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 10 videotapes, I think I'm gonna go pretty high. I'm also gonna give this an 8, not an 8.5, but a flat 8. I don't think it's quite as good as that first Ready or Not, but I think if you're looking for what that movie gave you, which is just this normal character being thrust into this weird, crazy world where every single person wants to kill her, I think this is a really effective film as well. And just adding Catherine Newton, I think at this point, I think is always going to be a plus. I didn't love Lisa Frankenstein. I thought she was great in it, and I think she's great here playing off of Samara Weaving. And please, Hollywood, cast Samara Weaving in more things. I don't think she deserves the moniker that I think she gets of like, oh, she's that one actress that looks like Margot Robbie. I think she's way better than that. And yeah, I think Ready or Not 2 is a very, very good sequel. But thank you all for watching. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the video so it helps grow our channel a lot. Next week, I'm going to be reviewing They May Kill You as well as Forbidden Fruits. Not the biggest movies next week, but I'm still excited to talk with them. With you guys. Thank you all for watching. Remember to tune in next week, and as always, watch more movies.
And the award for most vapid film review of the century goes to...
Okay, movie review. Okay, I thought it was beauty.
And he's now in cinema hell, where one day we'll all be reunited.
This is me at the Regal Cinema crying as I did through much of the film.